Talking about somebody being a troublemaker, baby, and running off at their mouth. And I'm like, come on through, Cookie. I want to pull my soapbox. That's basically it. Let's talk about drag and all its forms. What, Cookie? Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is my review for Daytime Divas Season 1, got Maxine. 7. She drops in on the detective and basically tries to smooth it over and calm his mind as to her innocence and just really come across as wholesome. Yeah, okay, Maxine. Whatever, but she thought he bought it, but I didn't think he did. And he didn't. Next, we actually had Cecil. She ran through to grab her last little things that she had left there. Baby, she wasn't trying to feel none of that mess with them. They got on her goddamn nerves so bad when she was there last week. She was like, I don't have it to do. When Maxine had happened to step into the hall, she's like, oh no, I'm actually going on to do something else. I got another job. Bye, bitches. I'm out of here. And she left. Then we turned around and the new guest host for the week was Janet Mock, looking lovely. And they were like, Kimmy was like so happy to see her and everything like that naturally. And then, you know, because she's a millennial. So she was like really happy to see her and all excited. And Heather's like, oh, hi, this, that, the other. Kimmy was like, how long is it going to be before she starts her bullshit? Because they're still feuding about the life coach and that whole drama. So they continue to throw jabs at each other the whole damn episode about her trying to suck off the goddamn life coach. Honey, Kimmy didn't appreciate it. And she has said something to her and stated, you could never walk a mile in my shoes. And Kimmy was like, girl, I wouldn't walk 2 feet in your shoes, that dress or that hair, honey. I said, oh my God. And that they were really being cutthroat, and Kimmy kept calling her whores and bitches, and I said, oh my gosh, terrible, terrible. She kept on calling Kimmy a slut. I said, oh wow. Anyway, so let's talk about William and the person that kept up all the trouble, which was William's mother, Gloria, who came to town, Lord have mercy, and the parts played by none other, Patti LaBelle. Baby, when I tell you Miss Gloria was a hot ass mess, hot. Do you hear me? She had too much to say about everything. She was all excited to meet Maxine at first, and Maxine's like, oh, you know, got a kick out of it. And, you know, of course, you know, they had their little thing as a secret and all that. But Gloria sees right through that. She's like, honey, you think you're too good for my son, but I can tell he's polishing your box, honey. So she's like, yeah, I'm gonna get you some seats to the show tomorrow. Come on down and I'll get you a seat for the show. She gonna say yeah, and it better not be no cheap seat either. I said, oh my God. And that's how she started, and that's how she continued. She was a damn mess. Nina and Sean are still going at each other, talking about they both going lawyer up, you know, about this custody of this baby. I'm like, oh Lord, here we go with this. The next day they do the show. Gloria comes to the show, being rude. First thing she do, she comes and she's looking for Mo, baby. She wants to meet Mo. And then after the show's over, she says, girl, I don't know about this. She said, tomorrow, are you going to be giving away some good gifts instead of this junk? Like some cars and stuff like Oprah gave away. She said, honey, listen. Oprah also gave people a $7,000 tax bill. Nobody talked about that, though, did they? And she was giving, still cheap, honey. I said, oh my God. Then the next thing you know, we have this whole scene where Janet, Mock, and Heather are actually, because they're kind of getting along and kicking in. Heather hasn't said anything overly Christian to offend Janet yet. And they're going on, and Heather's talking about Janet's hair. She's like staring at it. She's like, oh, can I touch it? She's like, no. And they're just talking. They're going back and forth. And then, you know, they're going on, and she says, well, My parents are the reason I didn't have such a hard time growing up. I had good parents that allowed me to be me and they didn't take any stuff from anybody. So I didn't have a bad childhood, which a lot of kids do, but I didn't have a bad childhood. So my parents gave me a good childhood and they gave me all this sickening hair. Baby, Heather went to touch it. When I tell you Janet Mock smacked the goddamn shit out of her, it was real fast. She went to touch it. She said, don't touch. I said, oh. Popped the shit out of her. Went on. So, she's doing her whole thing with Ella and all of that. Next thing, there's this guest, Vance Gordon, who used to be on the show with Kibby. I don't know what the deal is with him, and I guess we'll find it out later, but he was supposed to be coming on, and then he ended up making a phone call. Well, Kibby called him, and he answered, and she told him, I don't want you on the show. I don't give a damn what kind of excuse you have to come up with, but you better make one, and you better not bring your ass anywhere near me, period. So he ended up canceling. Next time we're on screen, we got Janet Mock and Heather. And Heather went over the line and said some shit to Janet. She asked all these questions. And then she made a comment, oh no, I'm a real girl, baby. And Janet gave her very much of, honey, listen, let me tell you something. I'm transgender, but I am just as much a girl as you are. And you're an idiot. I said, oh. So Maxine was like, well, let's go ahead on and cut the commercial break. He said, uh-huh. So that was that. They done fell out. And Heather's like, oh my God, I didn't mean it. And then it flipped, honey. The LGBTQ community was after Heather, baby. They was like, really, bitch? Now you're transphobic. So they was ready to choke her up. So she had spent a lot of time trying to apologize to Janet, and Janet really wasn't hearing it at first. Then there was also on that same show this guy who came in there. He's obsessed. He's an obsessed fan of Nina's. And just loud and just really obsessed. But he was doing his thing, and they had him escorted out because she had blocked him on social media, and he made a big scene in the audience. Baby, they escorted his ass out. Later on that next day, hey, when they went to go do the show, he ended up getting Nina, baby. Nina and Sean been arguing like crazy, but had her ass locked up in the goddamn elevator. And she said, how'd you get in there? He said, y'all security sucks. He was going through his whole crazy obsessed fan thing, got her locked in. The shows get ready to air. Maxine then already told Heather, you can use the first part of the show to apologize to Janet and try to make good with the LGBTQ community before they tear your ass apart. And in the midst of all that, we got William's mother down here. She's carried on. Now she over at the table, at the craft and service table, taking all the food to her child. When I found out that they throw all this food away at the end of the day, not on my watch, baby. She steady packing up. Bitch got Tupperware in her purse. So she packing up. The detective actually shows up at the show. So he tried to talk to Sean, and Sean kind of blew him off. And then he's a greedy ass. So Sean was like, he said, is those egg rolls on the table? Sean was like, yeah, go on, help yourself. The fuck out of here. They go on. He said, we got a crisis. We got time, so try to keep it away from everybody. And Sean's dealing with the crisis. The head PA, she stepped in and she ran the show. She did Sean's job, did a fantastic job. Now, the thing is, Maxine ain't said nothing and ain't even acknowledged it, and neither has Sean. But at the end of the show, there were some flowers sent to Kibby. Child, they were from that Vance Gordon, and Kibby was pissed. But she ended up taking them and gave them to the PA, honey. So she said, this has been the best day of my life. I laughed so hard. I said, yo, she just as crazy as that motherfucker in that elevator. So I laughed at that. Whenever they were standing there before the show with the detective, I done ran forward. Before they ran into the show, the detective was saying whatever he had to say, and Gloria was cutting the damn fool, and then ended up finding out that William and Maxine are dating. Remember, William gave him very much of he didn't even know her and all of that. So that just caused a problem. So Maxine don't play that shit. She flipped shit. She went right on during the show and announced right on screen that her and William were dating and have been dating just recently. They started dating. He's a wonderful man. This, that, thing, and the other. I said, okay. Right before they went on screen, Heather apologized to Janet Mock. And the only reason why she got it all out is because she basically told her about Ella. She's like, I'm not transphobic. I had questions because my son, my daughter, whatever, is trans. And so that was that. At the end of it, Kibby had a hair barrette, real sparkly, and said, I'm going to give this. Can you give this to Ella? She's like, we love your kids. Can you give this to Ella? Because all little girls like sparkly stuff. I think Ella might like this. And she took it. She's like, I think Ella would love it. And they're standing there, and they're like, okay, so they done made up. And Kibby's like, okay, come on, give me a hug, whore. I said, oh, Lord. That Kibby don't have any tact at all. I absolutely love her character. She's so dangy, and she's sweet as pie and has no tact whatsoever. So they did that. Everything was cool. Then the last scene, we actually see, Maxine and Sean talking, and they do a flashback. Baby, there was a whole little situation, and the detective found that out too. He went to the restaurant where they were 11 years prior, the day that the husband got killed, and there was a guy working there in the restaurant, was a waiter, and was saying that Sean was upset. Well, they showed a flashback where Sean was actually upset that night, and it started off with him and the husband getting into it, and then Maxine taking it up. And then you don't know, it cut. You don't know what exactly happened. But Maxine said, it wasn't your fault, Sean. And he said, you're damn right it wasn't. And I don't feel the least bit guilty. And he walked out the room. And I'm like, well, what the hell happened? Did Sean fuck him up? I don't know. Very interesting, though. Very interesting. So we got to keep on watching. Last thing we saw was the detective. Maybe he building a case, honey. He's building that little wall, honey. You know how they do when they're doing a murder, trying to figure out a murder. Picture of William, a picture of Sean, and a picture of Maxine. I said, oh, shit, here we go. So it was good. This was a good episode. So I will catch up with you guys next Monday. Later.